The sales mistake that's costing you deals, and it's not your commission, and it's not the market, it's not interest rates, and it's definitely not that buyers are just not serious right now. The mistake is this: you're trying to convince people before you understand. And the moment your client feels like you're trying to convince them, they start defending themselves. They pull back. They question your motives. They start comparing you to every other agent who sounds exactly the same as you do. And that is where the deals are lost. Not at the contract, not at the closing table. They're lost in the conversation. I'm Wayne Weathersby, and this is Productive Not Busy. Today, we're talking about one of the most expensive mistakes real estate agents and salespeople in general make every single day. It's subtle and it sounds professional. It often comes from good intentions, but it costs you trust, appointments, listings, buyers, referrals, and income. The mistake is believing your job is to prove your value. Your job is not to prove your value. Your job is to discover what they value. That is a major difference. What agents are doing wrong. Most agents show up to a conversation ready to talk. They want to explain their marketing plan. They want to talk about their brokerage. They want to mention their experience and their production and the tools and technology and negotiation skills and social media reach and the market knowledge. And listen, all of that may matter. That does not matter first. The client does not care about how much you know until they believe you understand what they are trying to accomplish. Too many agents are answering questions the client has not even asked yet. They're solving problems the client has not admitted that they even have. And they are pitching value before they have created connection. That is backwards. A seller does not wake up thinking, oh, I hope I find a real estate agent with a 27-point marketing plan today. They wake up thinking, can I trust this person? Will they protect my equity? Will they tell me the truth? Will they help me avoid making a bad decision? Will they make this process less stressful? And buyers are thinking, am I overpaying? Can I actually afford this? Is this the right time? What am I missing? Do I have someone who will guide me or someone who just wants me to buy so they get paid? This is where the real conversation lives. Here is the hidden cost. When you pitch too early, you create resistance. The client may still smile, right? They may still nod. They may even say, oh, that sounds good. But mentally, they are lacking and backing away because instead of feeling heard, they feel handled. And this is the word handled. Nobody wants to feel handled. They want to feel understood. And this is why some agents and salespeople lose appointments even when they are the most qualified person in the room. They had a better resume. They had a better plan. They had a better market knowledge, but they did not win the conversation. And in this business, the person who wins the conversation often wins the client, not the person who talks the most, not the person who has the prettiest presentation, the person who makes the client feel safe enough to tell the truth. Now, there's some myths out there. There's an industry myth that says, if I can just show enough value, they will choose me. Not necessarily, because value is not universal. Value is personal. One seller may value speed. Another may value privacy. Another may value top dollar. Another may value certainty. And another may value not feeling embarrassed because they are behind on the payments or going through a life transition. If you walk in with one canned value proposition, you may miss the real reason they need you. That is why scripts alone are not enough. The script can help you know what to do, but wisdom helps you know when to stop talking. Best agents and salespeople do not just present. They diagnose, they slow down, they ask better questions, they listen for emotion, and they listen for fear. They listen for what is not being said. And that is where the deal is. So what's the hard truth? The hard truth: some agents and salespeople are not losing deals because they lack leads. They're losing deals because they're not converting the trust that is already in front of them. They're so busy trying to sound impressive and smart that they forget to be useful. They are so confused on winning the appointment that they miss the person sitting across from them. And that is not a market problem. That is a skill problem. The good news is skills can be improved, but only if you are willing to look in the mirror So in my book, Relentless Drive, one of the ideas I come back to is that growth requires discomfort. You cannot become better while protecting every habit that keeps you average. If your conversations are not producing the results that you want, do not blame the client. Study the conversation. Where did you talk too much? Where did you rush? Where did you assume? Where did you avoid asking the question that needed to be asked? Where did you try to be liked instead of being trusted? That is the work. So what do you do instead? Okay, so what should you do instead? You should start with curiosity. Before you explain anything, ask, what would make this move a win for you? What are you hoping to avoid? What has you considering a move now? What would make you feel confident that you chose the right person? And what other agents or salespeople missed when they talked with you? These questions change the conversation. They move you from salesperson to advisor. Then label what you hear. Sounds like certainty matters more than speed, correct? Or it seems like you do not want to feel pressured. Or it sounds like you're protecting your equity is the biggest priority to you. Or it seems like you have had a bad experience before. So when someone feels understood and they lean in, they listen. And that is where your value actually lands. So I'm going to give you some practical examples here. Instead of saying, I'm the best agent because I have a great marketing plan, try this. Would it be helpful if I showed you how we could protect your price, reduce surprises, and create a strategy that gives you options instead of pressure? That feels different instead of saying, you should work with me because I have great virtual tools. Try, it sounds like what you really want is more predictability and less stress. Would it be worth looking at how the right systems could help you make a better decision? That is the shift. Less convincing, more connecting. Less presentation, more diagnosis. Less pressure, more trust. So I'm going to leave you with this.